Are you thinking about buying a home? Is this the first home that you're going to be purchasing? Does the thought of buying a home physically scare you? Well, you're not alone. There are so many buyers out there that are lost, completely paralyzed by fear, and frankly, have no guidance. In this video, however, I'm going to give you the step-by-step guide on how to buy a home in Silicon Valley. This is Danny Gould with the Selling Silicon Valley Group. Welcome everyone to another video. Before we get into how to buying a home, if you're a home buyer in today's marketplace and you're looking for a comprehensive guide to help guide you from A to Z on buying a home here in the San Francisco Bay Area, go ahead and text the word buyer guide to the number down below and we'll shoot that guide right over to you. Anyways, guys, let's get into the process. For the home buying process, my team and I, we like to simplify it into three main phases. Phase one, which is everything before you enter contract with the seller. Phase two, the actual contract phase. And then finally, phase three, which is closing. For the purposes of today's video, I'm going to be focusing on phase one, pre-contract phase. That's where the majority of the uncertainty and the fear lies, is in everything that happens before you get into contract with the seller. Once you have the contract with the seller, things kind of take care of themselves in a lot of ways. And so what I want to emphasize and walk you through today are the four stages of phase one. Stage one of phase one of the home buying process is the initial consultation with a real estate agent. Why do you want to do this? Well, there are a variety of different reasons why, but I'm going to focus on three main points. Number one, your real estate agent is your guide. A great real estate agent should be your resource throughout the entire process. And much like I'm doing here for you right now, they should also be walking you through the home buying process step by step at the very beginning. Why would you get yourself into something without knowing what to expect from the get-go? And that's exactly what a great real estate agent will do, is they will establish themselves as your guide and create a trusting relationship with you so that you feel like you're in good hands. The second reason to meet with an agent at the beginning is for them to get an idea of your wants and your needs. Sure, there are a variety of different websites out there that can help assist you in the home buying process, like Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, Trulia. They have all the homes, or do they? Because great real estate agents have a variety of different off-market networks where they can actually help you source off-market opportunities before they hit the MLS. I know I just spoke a lot of gibberish there right now, and I'm going to get into what all that means. But for the purposes of this, phase one, stage one, you want to meet with the agent, number one, because they're going to guide you. Number two, because they're going to provide you opportunities that you wouldn't have access to without them. And number three, they should have a phenomenal team around them to help you in other aspects of your home buying process, such as lending, which we're going to get into in a second. I think one of the biggest fears that home buyers have in meeting with an agent too early is that the agent is going to push them or pressure them into making a decision. That could very well be the case. And I will say that there are agents out there that are just in it for the money, that they want to get the commission as soon as possible. They will find a way to get you to buy a home early, right? So that's why you need to do your research and make sure that you're picking an agent that's going to be there for you and serve you on your timeline. How do you go about finding an agent to partner with at the beginning? Number one, if you're in the San Francisco Bay Area, my team is definitely available and willing to help you in your home buying journey. If you're interested in learning about how we can help you, go ahead and text the word SSV, that's just one word, to the number down below, and we will reach out to you and see if we're a good fit for you. Maybe we are, maybe we aren't, but depending on the area and the location that you're looking in, we probably have someone that can help you. But if you're not going to partner with SSV for whatever reason, there are several other ways that you can go about finding great agents. The second way that I would recommend is actually asking one of your friends or family members that have recently purchased a home. See how their experience was and ask them if they would recommend their agent. If they do, contact that agent and have them help you. I don't know, that's pretty much it. Third way is to go online, source agents that are online that have great reviews. Just remember, we're in a review-based economy, and I totally respect that. I totally understand that. The bigger you get as an agent, the more reviews you're going to have. And so some of the smaller agents, even though they provide phenomenal service, perhaps you wouldn't notice them because it's really about like the top 30 players in the Bay Area that all of us have like that clout, and we have a bunch of reviews online. Like my team has hundreds of reviews. A lot of the big teams in the area like mine, we have a lot of reviews. But there are some smaller agents out there that still would do a great job for you. You just wouldn't be able to find them that way. The best way to get through them is to a referral from one of your family members or your friends. Once you've had that initial consultation, in the initial consultation, the agent should go over a baseline of what to expect. They should gather your wants and needs, and they should also define a relationship with you and let you know what they expect from you and what you should expect from them. Once you've completed the initial consultation, then it's time to move on to stage 2 of phase 1, which is the lender pre-qualification. Now, I say pre-qualification because there are many steps that lead up to a pre-approval. Typically speaking, a lot of our clients actually come to us already pre-approved, and I'll go into what that means in a second. But before you're even pre-approved, you go through a pre-qualification stage. A pre-qualification is simply having a phone conversation with the lender and having them review your financials over the phone, and then they will plug in some numbers into their system and say, hey, you're pre-qualified for a loan up to $1 million, right? Well, the next step in that process is actually getting fully pre-approved. And that is really phase 2 of stage 1, is the full-fledged pre-approval. Once you're pre-qualified, then you go to pre-approval stage. Once you get your pre-approval, that means that the lender has received all of your documentation that they need in order to issue you a vetted approval. That means that they've gone so far as to review the documents that you've sent in and give you an idea as to what you're going to be approved for based on your credit as well. That is when they pull your credit, is when they pre-approve you for the loan. Not when they pre-qualify you, but when they pre-approve you. Now, as I'm shooting this video in 2021, we still have COVID. The COVID environment that we are in has basically made pre-approvals a nice to have into a must have. And I'll explain why. In order to gain access to a lot of properties now, listing agents and sellers are requiring that any buyer that sees their home during COVID needs to actually send in their pre-approval letter before they can view the house. Now, this isn't true for every home, but we want to be prepared, right? And so there's no reason to go out and see homes if A, you can't qualify for them, and B, if there is no piece of paper there that says, hey, if I like this home, I can actually purchase it. And that's what they want to see in order to gain access to properties at this point in time. But even before COVID, our policy was that all of our buyers got pre-approved before we actually went out and showed homes. Reason being, a lot of times buyers think they can only afford $1 million, when in reality they can afford $800, or vice versa. They think they can only afford $800, when in reality they can afford $1 million, and what they actually want is worth somewhere around $900,000. So they have a little bit of wiggle room if they need to in order to qualify for a home that they absolutely love. So getting approved beforehand is not just beneficial now during a COVID environment, but even post-COVID and pre-COVID, it's recommended that you get that pre-approval before you go on to the next stage. Stage 3 of phase 1 is actually the most fun part. The funnest part, the most fun, I don't know. But stage 3 is actually the fun part where we get to go out and actually show you property. Now, how do we identify the homes that we actually want to see? Well, that's where a search tool like RealScout comes in. Now, whatever search tool you're using right now, whether it's Redfin, Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, whatever you're using, I'm sure that it's a great tool. Any agent that you work with is going to have a tool that's specific to their brand, to their brokerage, whatever that they're going to get you set up on. In our case, it's RealScout. RealScout's a phenomenal tool. We use it for all of our VIP buyers, and we use it because it has a phenomenal user interface. It ties directly into the multiple listing service, and it also allows us to communicate directly with one another on the platform. So there's a lot of different reasons why we use RealScout. Now, I just threw a fancy term out there for you, which is multiple listing service. The multiple listing service, or MLS for short, is ground zero for all real estate information. This is where real estate agents live every single day. It's where they upload their listings to, and it's where they look for homes for their home buyers. Now, because there is a direct feed from the MLS into RealScout, the second it gets posted on the MLS as a new listing, it gets sent to your inbox. And so every morning you should see a digest. Wherever you're getting your listings from, wherever you're getting your homes from, they should be there in your inbox. And when you see something, you let your agent know so that you can go see the property. Because the internet has revolutionized the way in which we search for property, a lot of home buyers ask this question, which is a very good question, which is, hey, we have all of the listings available to us on the internet. Why do we need an agent? Like, why do we need you to let us know which properties are available on the market? And that is a very fair point. And truthfully, it is a huge misconception that a lot of home buyers have, which is what's on the internet is what's available for sale. And that couldn't be further from the truth. As real estate agents, we have access to a variety of different networks. Now, I can't speak for any other agents. I can only speak for my team. And so my team has access to a variety of different off-market channels. The first is through our brokerage at Intero Real Estate. We are one of the largest brokerages in the San Francisco Bay Area. And every single day we are getting dozens of emails from agents who just signed listings. And they say, hey everyone, we have a new listing coming up. Because of certain cooperation policy laws, we're not allowed to disclose addresses. But we can say I have a phenomenal home coming up in San Jose, California. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, single-family home coming on the market in 3 weeks. It's got, we're going to be listing for 1.2 million, blah, 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 right? Well, if it fits your criteria, a good agent will see that email and say, oh my gosh, this fits Sally's needs perfectly. I'm going to send it over to Sally. Perfect. So that's one way in which we source off-market opportunities. The other way in which my team actually sources off-market opportunities is through our affiliation with Top Agent Network. Top Agent Network is exclusively reserved for the top 10% of real estate agents here in the San Francisco Bay Area. And as a result of having access to that network, as you can imagine, the top 10% of the real estate agents do 90% of the business here in the Valley. So I kid you not when I say we have dozens of off-market opportunities coming through our inbox every single day from this network alone. What this network allows us to do, it allows us to add you as a buyer quietly to the platform, and anytime that something gets added to the network that fits your criteria, I get notified, my team gets notified, and then in turn you will get notified that that off-market opportunity is available for you. Now, a question I get all the time is, well, how often does that actually happen, Danny? The truth is, if you look at national data, 1 in 4 homes is sold off the MLS, meaning that 1 in 4 homes that sell in the United States sell before they're on Zillow, before they're on Trulia, before they're on Redfin. What do those sales comprise of? They comprise of off-market opportunities like I just discussed, family transfers, and flippers, investors that are buying directly from the seller. In other words, for sale by owners. Lastly, if there is a neighborhood or an area that you're really focused in, and you want to explore that area some more, my team has gone even so far as to call neighborhoods, door knock neighborhoods pre-COVID, and send letters out to the neighborhood as well in an earnest attempt to find you inventory that's not currently listed, but sellers who have every intention of selling, but just not currently on the market. We will do anything and everything. We will fight, claw, scratch, whatever you want to call it, to get you what you want. Once you find a home that you absolutely love, and I tell all of my clients that we only want to make offers on properties that we really love. I don't want anyone that works with me to just settle for a home. I mean, life is too short to settle, especially when in the San Francisco Bay Area, you're spending, in all likelihood, millions of dollars on a property. We want to make sure that home fits everything that you're looking for and that you love the house. So before we make the offer, right, we want to make sure that you love the house. And entering stage 4 of phase 1, before we go there, there's a couple things that you should do before we go there. First thing is first, is to establish the market value for the home and what we feel that the home is going to sell for. And that is done through an analysis called a CMA, which is comparable market analysis. In essence, we take comparable sales in the community over the last 6 months or so that show us what similar homes in the neighborhood have sold for. That's going to give us a baseline idea of what to expect when making an offer. This is important because a lot of times right now we're seeing sellers underprice their home by 5 or 10%, or even overpricing their home by 5 or 10%. We're getting a full range there. And so to expect or to think that the home is going to sell for what it's listed for is usually not true at all. Another thing to keep in mind is that there are a lot of algorithms out there that claim to give property values online. I mean, Redfin has one, Zillow has one, all of the sites have one. I don't want to discredit their validity, but the truth is they are just algorithms. And so you want to make sure that you have real comparable sales data, because that is what an appraiser is going to use to assess a value to your home. I just threw a big word out there. I'll get to that in a second. Once you've established a value for the home and once you've decided what to offer, there is only a couple more things that you need to consider before writing an offer on a house. The next thing that you should do is review all of the disclosures, if they are available, and any and all inspection reports that the seller has provided or procured prior to them putting their home on the market. Why is this important? Well, a lot of times sellers in today's marketplace in the San Francisco Bay Area are getting home inspections done before they put their home on the market. Why is this important to you? Because you know exactly what you're going to get yourself into when buying the home. These are inspection reports generated by licensed inspectors, and so you can assume that the vast majority of the things on those reports are going to have to be addressed at some point in time. This is also important because in many cases here in the San Francisco Bay Area, there are so many buyers interested in a house that sellers, in order to mitigate risk, will give the inspection reports to every buyer that comes through the door at the beginning, because they know that the majority of home buyers, when they have those inspection reports, they will waive their inspection contingency during the escrow process. In other words, they will waive their right to inspect the home during escrow if they're provided a reasonable set of reports up front. So you want to make sure that you're reviewing those and that you're doing your due diligence, because if you don't and you just submit an offer blindly, number one, if you have an inspection contingency, good luck in getting your offer accepted in a lot of cases. But number two, you are leaving yourself susceptible to a variety of different issues that are called out on the report. And if you don't know about those and your price, your offer doesn't reflect that, you are inherently at a disadvantage. So once you've reviewed the disclosures and once you've established a market value for the home that you're going to be making an offer on, then we get to stage 4 of phase 1, which is the final stage of phase 1, which is making the offer. For our team, we have an incredibly high success rate at getting our clients' first offer accepted. Here in the San Francisco Bay Area, over a 70% success rate at getting our clients' very first offer accepted, which is extraordinarily high for this market. And the reason that we have such a high level of success is because our team follows the same formula every single time. So when you're making an offer, you can just make the offer and go through the motions. Or if you have an agent that has a process like we do, the likelihood of you succeeding is going to be much higher. Every offer that we have has the same 4 components. The first component is a cover letter, which introduces yourself to the seller. Now, a quick story. I once had a client who were walking through the house and she's like, oh my gosh, she loves the house, absolutely in love with it. And so she decides to make an offer. She's walking through the house, and at the master she stops. She's like, oh, Danny, the seller also went to USC. And I was like, oh wow, that's awesome. We should definitely make note of that in the cover letter. So in the cover letter, she wrote that she had been a USC alumnus, and she put a picture of her in her USC gear. So when we make the offer, I find out that we're one of 3 offers. The listing agent calls me and says, hey Danny, your offer is the second highest offer. And my client really wants to sell it to your client though, because I don't know if you know this, but my seller actually went to USC as well. And I was like, oh, you're kidding, just like totally playing dumb. And I was like, okay, well, that's great news. And she's like, but your clients are the second highest offer, so they're going to need to come up, right? And she had told me in the conversation that our buyer was $15,000 under the highest offer. And so I said, okay, well, like how much do they need to come up, right? Expecting that she'd say 15, maybe 20,000, just to beat it out a little bit. She said, can your buyer come up 10K? To which I said, okay, well, I will try. I will do my best, I said. So I went back, I explained the whole situation to my buyer. My buyer was ecstatic. She was like, yes, absolutely, let's do it. And boom, we were in contract. So why do I tell this story? Well, number one, I tell it because it's important to remember that you're selling, the seller that's selling their home, they really do care who they sell their home to. And so anything that we can do to set ourselves apart, right, is going to greatly benefit you when we're making an offer. Second reason I tell that story is because the cover letter can often be the determining factor during a negotiation. Yes, my clients weren't the highest one, and they still didn't need to be the highest one in order to win the house at the very end, right? So this sort of tactic can be the difference between you getting the house and even getting it for a little bit lower than the highest offer. I've had dozens of clients get their offers accepted because the sellers connected with their cover letter. So we have templates and everything, and whoever you work with, I am sure that if they're a great agent, they're gonna recommend that you do the same thing. In addition to the cover letter, we have three other things. The second part is gonna be the purchase agreement. And in the purchase agreement, there's a variety of different terms and everything that go into that purchase agreement. But basically, the purchase agreement is the offer, right? So you think of the offer. So the offer components are the cover letter, the offer, a proof of funds to show the seller that you have the funds necessary to close escrow. Just the same thing that you're showing to the lender, you also show to the seller. And then finally, the last component of the offer is a pre-approval letter. And not just that, but a pre-approval letter that's fully underwritten. You see, my team has a lender that we partner with, and she is phenomenal at helping us get our offer accepted because she's actually able to pre-underwrite your file before we go into contract. Now, I just threw a big word out at you. So what does pre-underwriting actually mean? Well, pre-underwriting is the process, underwriting rather, is the process by which the bank conditionally approves your loan. So they're actually going to vet you and go through your file. They're going to fact check all the documentation. They're going to do an in-depth credit search, everything. And at the end of it, they say, hey, so-and-so, you are now approved for a loan. All of that pre-underwriting is done before you go into contract. Meaning that the lender is going to do all of that, and issue you a conditional approval before you make an offer, which means that your offer is as secure as a cash offer. Why is that so important? Well, number one, when the lender actually communicates that to the listing agent, it is a huge sigh of relief because it means your offer is as strong as a cash offer, number one. Number two, it allows the lender to really go to bat for you and vouch for you when we're making the offer. Say, hey, this client is good to go. They are as good as you'll ever get. They've got a conditional approval and they're going to be financially capable of closing on this deal. One question that I get a lot of times from homebuyers is, well, isn't that just assumed? And while you would assume that the vast majority of deals in the Bay Area don't fall apart, that actually is not true. There is a good portion of transactions in Silicon Valley and in the San Francisco Bay Area that fall apart due to bad financing. And so this actually is a legitimate concern for sellers and listing agents alike, but it's one that's not frequently discussed with homebuyers in their offer making process. Yeah, whatever lender you want to use, it's fine. Well, yeah, okay, it's fine until it's not. And so you want to make sure that you're fully approved, vetted, and ready to go. And it's going to save us a lot of headache and a lot of hassle in the long run. One final step, because I addressed this a few stages ago, I threw out the word appraisal. The appraisal is really the last thing that we have to talk about. And the appraisal is a process by which the bank is going to send a appraiser to the property, and the appraiser assesses a value to the home. The bank will only lend up to the appraised value of the home or the purchase price, whichever is lower. For example, if you offer $1 million and the appraiser says the home is worth $1 million, then you're good. The bank is going to lend you $1 million, right? Or whatever your loan is on that amount. Now, if the bank says, if you offer $1 million and the appraisal comes in at $1.05 million, right? Well, that's perfect. That means that you got a home for a great deal, right? And so there really is no issue at that point. The bank's going to lend you the full amount. Now, if you offer $1 million, but the appraiser says it's worth $950, now there's a discrepancy there. When you have an appraisal contingency written in the contract, that protects you in that instance, and you can then go back, renegotiate with the seller, and come to an agreement on where the pricing is going to be, so that you can fulfill your end of the deal and they can fulfill theirs. But in Silicon Valley, it is very difficult to get your offer accepted with an appraisal contingency, especially when you're up against multiple offers. And so the whole reason why we're doing the market analysis and deciding what the home is worth before we make an offer is to have a very baseline understanding of where a worst case scenario appraisal might end up at. And even though me and my team, we're not appraisers, we have extensive knowledge and all the same information that appraisers do when we're helping you assess a value to the home. So our job, any agent's job, a great real estate agent's job, when going into a situation where you need to remove your appraisal contingency, is giving you the worst case scenario. Saying, hey, so-and-so, I know that you're offering $1 million, but in the perfect world, the appraisal is going to come in at $1 million, no problem. But there is a possibility, worst case scenario, $975. So talk to the lender and see if you're going to be able to make that work. If the lender says, yeah, you'll be good to go for whatever reasons, you have excess funds, or we'll be able to move this here, move, whatever they have to do in order to make that loan work. A good lender should be able to walk you through, but a good agent should be able to prepare you for the worst case scenario when you're making an offer that is not contingent on the appraisal. Is your head spinning yet? I know, this is a really long, intense process, and there are definitely a lot of terms. Now, it is important to note that it is pretty rare for our clients to even have an appraisal issue. 99 times out of 100, the appraisal comes in at or above value, especially in an appreciating market like this. Appraisers know what the market conditions look like, and they know that if this home doesn't appraise, there's 20 other buyers waiting out there for to buy this home at the same price that you're in contract for. And so part of the appraisal process is not just assessing the market value, but also assessing market conditions. And so that's why it's generally not an issue, but it is always good to be prepared. All right, guys, is your head spinning yet? I hope not. But if it is, you can definitely get a little bit more clarity on the entire buying process, how the 3 phases work, all of that by texting buyer guide to the number down below. We will send you a comprehensive guide on how to buy your home here in Silicon Valley step by step, so that there's no uncertainty, there's no fear. Really, at the end of the day, the job of a great real estate agent is to take the fear out of the equation, is to make your life as stress-free as possible, right? And that's really what the intention of this video is aimed to do. So anyways, I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and give us a thumbs up and click the subscribe button for more videos just like this. But until the next video, everyone, this is Danny Gould with the Selling Silicon Valley Group, and I'll catch all of you in the next video.